Hello and welcome back. We are here once again to provide you with more useful content and help on how to clear the IELTS exam with decent bands. In this video, we are going to learn how to choose the right technique to deal with questions in the reading module. So let's start. As in the previous videos, we have learned that the IELTS reading test is about finding answers to the questions from the given passage. Just like comprehension exercises we used to do in school. Since there are different question types in the reading assessment, the same technique doesn't quite work well for all of them. Specific questions need specific techniques to be answered. These techniques include scanning and skimming. We also took a few examples in the previously aired videos what these techniques mean and how they work. Let's do a quick refresher on why we need them and how we can use them effectively. We require these special ways to find answers as we are on a very strict timeline when it comes to the reading test. All 40 questions are to be answered within 60 minutes. Therefore, these techniques emerge as quite helpful owing to the fact that they help us save time during the test. Also, they can be easily used and often cut down on the boring text we may have to read if techniques weren't there. And of course, they have high efficacy. But how will we know which one to choose for which question? Should we do scanning or skimming for a certain question? The answer lies in the definition. Let's quickly compare them. Scanning, as the name suggests, allows us to scan text like a robot. We simply need to run our eyes over the passage without actually understanding it. The objective here is to locate certain keywords from the questions in the text. So scanning helps us when we need specific information. This technique requires selective reading. Since not everything is read, we end up saving a good deal of time. On the other hand, we have skimming. This is quite the opposite of what scanning is about. Using this technique, we rapidly read the entire text. This is done to extract the gist of the paragraph or certain section. It doesn't help us find specific information since we don't target keywords, but we got to focus more on the overall meaning that the writer is trying to convey. Once skimming is done, we must give ourselves a few seconds to reflect on what we just read. Reflection is a key stage as this is exactly when and where you would get to know the central idea. Some questions in the reading assessment require the central idea, and that's exactly where skimming comes in handy. Both these techniques are super helpful and unique in their own way. It's all about what the question demands, which one we choose, and how sincerely we implement them. Now, let's do a little exercise to practice choosing the right technique for a question. On the screen, you can see an MCQ and there is the associated paragraph from the text on the right of it. Since we all know that the objective of MCQs is to select the right option, let's focus more on the question statement. It reads, in the first paragraph, the writer makes a point that, and what comes next, we need to find that. The statement clearly states that the answer has to be the overall point that the writer has made in the first paragraph. In other words, this question is demanding the main idea of the first paragraph. So when we need a central idea, which technique should we use? Yes, that's correct. We should use skimming. We just need to read rapidly and understand the gist of the para. But before we begin reading, please try to keep your eyes off the options. As we have already discussed in the previous reading videos, it would be a bad idea to read the options along with the questions before going through the text. Doing this will only confuse you since you won't be able to retain so much information, and reading options first might also influence a decision while choosing one of them. So we must refrain from reading the options first. Okay, I guess we can now skim read through the paragraph. We have zoomed in for your ease. You can pause the video here. Just for your reference, the ideal skimming time for this paragraph would be under 15 seconds. Alright, now skimming is done. Please reflect on what you just read. You can pause here if you want. Now, it's time to read the options and choose the one which matches our reflection. That would be the central idea. Option A, the director should plan the soundtrack at an early stage in filming. Was there anything about planning sounds early in the paragraph? No, there wasn't even a bit. So this option stands wrong. We can strike it off. Option B, It is important for those working on the sound in a film to have a sole responsibility for it. Do you think this is correct? The responsibility of sound is also of the director, not just the people in the sound, as mentioned explicitly in the 4th line. Therefore, this statement goes wrong too. So we can strike this option off too. Option C. It would be wrong to overlook the contribution of sound to the artistry of films. Did the paragraph say anything about considering sound effects less valuable? Well, that's a big yes. In fact, the entire paragraph was about it, right from the first sentence. Hope you got option C as your answer too. It's okay if you didn't. Techniques usually take a little time to get hold of. There can be certain questions of the same format which may require more than one reading technique to be answered. This question right here is another MCQ. Once again, we would only read the question statement and not the options. The question goes, what does the writer suggest about bringing up baby? Which technique according to you should be suitable to tackle this question? As a matter of fact, this question demands a combination. First, we need to look at bringing up baby in the full passage, and when we look for specific information, we do scanning. That's right, we will just run our eyes over the text and trying to find bringing up baby. We would find it exactly the same since it's a proper noun. So that's another advantage here. Once we have located the keyword in the passage, we would have narrowed down the reading section to just a few sentences. And that's where the next technique will be put into use. We then just need to read around the term bringing up baby to understand what the writer suggests about it. So which technique should be used at this stage? That's right, we will now skim that narrowed down section, and after reflection, we would be ready to choose between the options. Hence, this is how certain questions could be dealt with such combination techniques. It's okay if you're a little puzzled as of now. After a good amount of practice, you won't face much difficulty in deciding which method to go with. And wonderful job if you have already grasped the idea. So maybe now it's time for you to try some reading test and put the techniques into practice. Hope you found this video helpful. We will soon be back with another video. Thank you for watching.